Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into an absolutely fascinating case study of community empowerment. We're looking at the Islamabad College for Girls, commonly known as ICG. We're going to see how a tiny, highly localized school managed to transform itself into an absolute educational powerhouse. So how did they do it? Let's jump right in.
64. Think about that number for a second. That was the total student count when this school first opened its doors way back on May 1st, 1968. It originally started as the Islamabad Model School for Girls. And, legend actually has it that they started classes in an unfinished building. I'm talking no boundary wall, just a raw construction site. Just 64 girls, sitting there in a brand new, still developing capital city. It's kind of wild to picture, right?
To see how they grew from that unfinished schoolyard into an academic juggernaut, we're going to trace their journey. We'll look at their growth from 64 to thousands, explore their complete academic journey, step inside the modern campus, break down the affordable excellence in operations, and finally look at the enduring ICBN legacy.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, from 64 to thousands. We'll start by looking at the institution's incredible physical and academic evolution.
When you actually look at their timeline, it reveals a story of just pure hypergrowth. And this was completely driven by a massive demand for female education in Pakistan's federal capital. So in 1968, it was founded as a model school. But by 1975, literally just 7 years later, they had to upgrade it to an intermediate college. Why? Because families simply did not want to send their daughters anywhere else. By 1985, they attained degree college status. Then, the real pivot happens in 1994. The merit cutoff became so fiercely competitive that they had to introduce a second shift in the afternoons just to accommodate the thousands of applicants. Fast forward to 2006, they initiate modern four-year BS programs, which brings us right up to 2024 with the launch of a 21st century modern model library.
Moving right along to Section 2, a complete academic journey. Now we'll see how that history shaped their daily academic structure, which as you'll see is pretty rare.
Most of us are completely used to changing schools as we grow up, right? You move from a primary school to a middle school and then off to a high school on a totally different campus. Well, not here. ICG offers a seamless, continuous educational progression all on one massive footprint. Step 1 is the junior wing, taking young girls from Montessori right through grade 5. Step 2 moves them into the senior wing, covering grade 6 to 10 under the federal board curriculum. And then Step 3 is the college wing, housing intermediate and full undergraduate degree programs. A student can literally walk through these gates as a toddler and walk out 15 years later with a degree completely rooted in the institution's culture.
And speaking of those undergraduate degrees, the modern college wing has heavily transitioned into contemporary four-year BS programs, fully affiliated with the highly respected Quaid-i-Azam University. We're talking BS programs in mathematics, chemistry, English, and psychology. But the absolute standout? Their BS in computer science. This program is actually accredited by the NCEAC, that's the National Computing Education Accreditation Council, that is a massively prestigious stamp of approval that aligns their IT education directly with rigorous international standards.
Now, a huge part of this continuous journey of actually being a student here is the visual identity and discipline. The dress code is culturally grounded and very strictly maintained. For the summer uniform, it's a crisp white shalwar kameez paired with a green sash or dupatta. Come winter, they switch to the winter uniform, adding a green blazer or sweater and a white scarf. But honestly, the real genius here, it's the sash. Depending on whether a student is in the junior, senior, or college section, the specific color and pattern of that sash changes. So at a single glance across a totally crowded courtyard, you instantly know exactly where a student is in their academic journey. How cool is that? That brings us to Section 3, inside the modern campus. To house all these different academic levels, the physical space really had to adapt since the 60s.
Because they're handling thousands of students across 2 daily shifts, the infrastructure is just vast. We're talking over 100 dedicated classrooms and 15+ specialized labs spread out across different blocks. They also recently unveiled a 27,000+ book modern model library, complete with ergonomic seating and high-speed internet zones. Throw in a dedicated health room for student welfare, a massive sports activity center, and an entire transport fleet serving the city, you basically have a self-sustaining educational mini-city.
And all this commitment to modernization? Well, it's earned them some pretty serious global recognition. ICG was recently inaugurated as a Google Reference School. By definition, a Google Reference School is an exclusive designation highlighting institutions that are doing incredible things with digital learning initiatives and modern academic excellence. They've built these highly specialized IT smart rooms that integrate cutting-edge tech right into the classroom. Let's be real, for a public sector women's college to achieve this status is a phenomenal achievement, directly empowering these young women through STEM.
Let's move to Section 4, Affordable Excellence in Operations. Because you might be thinking, hey, with smart rooms and a massive campus, this must cost a fortune, right? Let's break it down.
Here's the twist. Because ICG actually operates under the Federal Directorate of Education, the costs are heavily subsidized. Just look at these fee tiers. At the school level, the enrollment fee is around 500 BDT, with monthly tuition sitting at roughly 200 to 500 BDT. Moving up to intermediate, enrollment is about 1,500 BDT, and tuition is between 800 and 1,200. Even at the highest undergraduate level, the BS programs, the enrollment fee is about 5,000 BDT, and monthly tuition is only around 2,500 to 4,000 BDT. That is literally a fraction of what private universities charge. This incredibly low-cost structure ensures that world-class elite education remains highly accessible, acting as a powerful socioeconomic equalizer for families all across the capital.
So, a natural question is, how on earth do they maintain such high academic standards with such heavily subsidized fees? Well, it all comes down to the faculty structure. The college operates on the federal government's Basic Pay Scale, or BPS. The principal, acting as the administrative head, sits at the very top at BPS 20. Vice principals, who manage the different sectors, are at BPS 19, while assistant professors and lecturers sit at BPS 18 and 17. Because these are highly coveted, deeply secure federal civil servant positions, ICJ is able to attract the absolute best, highest-scoring subject specialists through the rigorous Federal Public Service Commission exams. Basically, brilliant educators compete fiercely just to teach here.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, the enduring ICBN legacy. Let's look at the real human impact of this institution.
The tangible legacy of ICG is truly visible on a global scale. Now, they proudly maintain the highest student enrollment among all model colleges in Islamabad. But honestly, it's not just about the sheer volume of students. The women who walk out of those gates go on to become global leaders in STEM, international diplomacy, medicine, and civil service. Their faculty and alumni are so highly regarded that they routinely contribute to national curriculum reform and even sit on international UNESCO panels advocating for women in science. That's a serious footprint.
And it all ties back to a delightfully simple motto: knowledge is power. When you stop and reflect on the tens of thousands of lives that have been completely transformed here since 1968, you realize those 3 words aren't just a catchy slogan. They are literal. They aren't just teaching subjects here. They are quite literally engineering empowerment on a massive scale.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. How can public institutions like ICG serve as a blueprint for global educational reform? Could this highly subsidized seed-to-tree campus model actually be the key to empowering communities all over the world? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will catch you in the next one.